Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Children of the Cup. Oh, I'm going to be your DM, GM, storyteller, whichever you would like to call me, Forgotten Dreams, and I am joined by a cast of lovely, lovely people below me, beside me, below the person beside me. You know the deal. So, starting off, we're going to have everybody say who they are and introduce who their character is and what their clan is. So, starting directly below me with Jay.
Hi, I will be playing Serafino Karayan, and I am from the clan La Sombra.
Yo. Next up, we're gonna have Dorian.
Hi, my name is Dorian Croft. I'm also known as Foriel. I'll be playing Ajala, and Ajala is part of the, I want to say Banu Hakim family, but it's an Assamite right now, I
Currently
believe.
an Azamite, yeah. Close, very close. They're not around just yet.
Just a bit sleepy.
And the last but not least, a most special guest. No, I'm just kidding. You're not a guest. Azzy.
Yeah, so I'm Aziraphale or Azzy, and I'm playing Cecilia of Montfort, and she is of clan Semish.
No.
Not
All
scary,
right.
not whatsoever.
No,
Yes,
no.
Not
She's
terrifying
very
at all. Yeah. Definitely won't eventually start shaping your flesh to her will. So, before we get into things proper, we're going to have a tiny little recap from one Ajala.
So, let's have a look-see back at what has happened so far, shall we? Weird things happened. Woke up in a box with two strangers. Was dug up from that box by other strangers. All spoke very weird languages which I've, well, possibly heard before, but which I don't speak, which makes it complicated. However, I was able to understand the people that were in the box with me. So, after some back and forth and getting freed from some chains, being brought to a town and deciding to travel mainly during the night to avoid the heat of the sun of the desert that we're currently in, we decided to go on a bit of a trip to Jerusalem. Well, along the way we sort of murdered out like an entire camp of merchants, since apparently we're not entirely ourselves anymore, and the control of what we do was, at that time at least, slightly influenced, say, by a bit of an inner beast. Well, the inner beast that came out for a bit. And after everyone was murdered, well, we cleaned up camp and we decided to try and move on, but not before spotting a very weird man followed by a pack of wolves. A man with red glowing eyes, of all things. Now, we finally arrived, if I'm not mistaken, at the port town of Darom. Well, we booked an inn. And decided to sort of gear up for the rest of our journey, spend some of the money that we managed to make from the merchants, which unfortunately murdered. Had a bit of a run-in with a local priest who didn't understand why we were able to understand each other despite not speaking the same language. That was a bit weird. Besides that, yeah, we're waiting on some stuff to get finished, and at least one of my new companions seems very, very eager to jump the other, sort of say. Poor Cecilia, don't think she has the same interest. Anyway, that's what we've been up to so far.
Alright, fantastic. So, getting back into things. One thing. Yep, what's up?
Hope that wasn't too much.
Oh no, that was perfect. You're fine. Let's see here. So, if you could remind me, so we're waiting on one Hauberk, right? We're waiting on, was it one or two Hauberks? Or was it just the Hauberk and then two composites?
Two
One Hauberk,
composites
two
and
composites.
one Hauberk, yeah.
Two composites, one Hauberk. Alright, fantastic. Let's see here. Fantastic. Bringing us back in. You all make your way back to the inn eventually, after the awkward exchanges with the priest and almost having a bit of a secret discovered. In fact, one could say it was discovered, it's just you horribly tried to get out of it, and that only made things a little bit more suspicious and awkward. So.
And he threw us out. thankfully.
Both Ajala and Serafino arrive at the inn just as the runner boy is arriving with the first set of armor, first set of composite armor. And the two of you can see
Entire armor.
as Cecilia is getting handed the cloth that the armor is wrapped in. As the boy is putting it down on the table, I assume that Cecilia maybe gives the boy a single copper piece for the delivery, and he runs out the door past the two of you as Cecilia's eyes look up to see the two of you standing in the doorway.
Hello, are you back now?
Looks
Yeah.
like.
We just got one of the armors, she says, and opens up the package to inspect it.
What size is it?
What did you say?
So this is the composite armor. It's made to fit Ajala.
Seems to be for
That's
you then.
fine.
And she pushes it over towards Ayala.
Good, I'm gonna try this on, see if it fits.
Okay.
I'll
So you go
take
ahead
it and
begin-
take it upstairs.
Yeah, you go ahead and you go upstairs and you start take off your outer layer a bit and readjust it because something they don't usually tell you about these things that you would sort of subconsciously know is there's always a right way to wear your clothing underneath. Otherwise, it will be very uncomfortable. So you take the time required to go ahead and press your clothes in just the right way and then slip on the composite armor. And it fits like a glove. Or at least that's how the expression goes.
Because I also want to get rid of that armor that I was wearing that is damaged from the old, the other
How would
guards
you
that
like
we
to get
murdered.
rid of it?
For the time being, I'll probably stash it in the cloth that we've gotten, and I'll probably take it along for the time being. As in, that man that's following us has wolves. If wolves are any bit like dogs, I might want to prefer dropping it somewhere. Might want to avoid dropping it somewhere so that it doesn't attract the attention of his dogs or wolves.
Okay.
Or himself, perhaps.
Did Cecilia had time to get a bath or something while she was waiting for the others?
I would say, yeah, you would have enough time while they were out doing their book searching that you would have had time to go to the bath tents and paid for the services to go ahead and get a bath. It only cost you, I'd say about 5.5 copper. And they literally count by halves.
All right. How much would you want for also cleaning the clothes so they are?
If you want the full service, that comes up to 10 copper straight.
All right. Yeah, she will have done that then. So she would have somewhat clean clothes.
You also, at least last you remember being at baths, you know that they're notorious for having. You can just take a bath, or you can take a bath and have your clothes laundered and repaired, which is the full service. Or you can take a bath, have the clothes washed, and also have a bath winch. But I doubt Cecilia's going for that right now.
Yeah, she would only do the normal full service without an extra help.
Funnily enough, I think it was in the 15th century when that finally got banned.
Yeah, I think it was around that time too.
Yeah. So you go. So you are nice, clean, proper. Any rips or tears that were in your clothing have been fully repaired, almost seamlessly. It's a high misconception that people in this time period, when they had to repair something, it looked patchy. No, these people are used to repairing their clothing, so it looks almost like you bought it out of the store just the other day. That's how good of a job they do with it. It's only to your eye, because it was your clothes, and maybe someone who's very trained at looking at these things, that you could see like just the tiniest bit of details that are slightly off. about the clothes in those particular spots.
Yeah.
While I come back down the stairs, I'll be like, kind of surprising, and I'll sort of check the armor on me while I'm coming down the stairs. And I thought he wasn't a master armorer, but this fits perfectly.
It fits perfectly. It has a good weight to it as well. It's not uncomfortable in any way. The belt that he has given you for it makes it so it sits very comfortably, even when you're adding that additional weight to your hips. You mistake this for a master craftsman's work if everyone hadn't kept telling you that he's not the master craftsman of this.
Well, either he's very humble, or actually he didn't make it. He was just he had them stored up.
I would be surprised if... I'll check if I can see if it's been adjusted to my size from... Or does it seem to be fully made on my size? Does it seem like this was prefabbed and then adjusted to my size? But this... From what I can tell, this is really made perfectly in this exact size, as in this is no coincidence. And he's better at his job than he lets on.
Impressive.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting.
So I think I'm gonna pop away for a bath too and get these clothes fixed and cleaned. Do you guys need anything?
No, it was very refreshing. I recommend it. You should probably also do it, Ayala.
I was about to say I might want to join, as in these clothes underneath here are not exactly, well, the encounter, I guess.
Yeah,
Still
mine
showing-
still has a tear from when Jala hit me with the hatchet, and I tried to make a quick band-aid, a quick patch up.
Need to keep reminding me, as I said, you were right, I was wrong.
It only took a hatchet. Okay.
Okay.
So, you go ahead and do both of you just go ahead and head off straight to the baths and leave Cecilia there?
A good idea.
Okay. So the two of you head off, and if you want the full service, you'll go ahead and pay the 20 copper for the both.
20. Show me to pay for yours, Ajala.
I believe you have all the money from the camp, right?
Yes.
In that case, I would appreciate that.
Yeah. All done. 40 copper.
You only need to, yeah. Let me see here. Not 40, 20. It's 10 for
20
full
each?
service. No, it's 10
it's
for
10?
full
And 10 per
service,
person.
and
Okay.
then for him it's another 10. So as much
So
as I would
20.
love for you to pay these ladies 40, and I'm sure they would love it as well, 10 will be sufficient for each person.
Do you want to check the money to see if it matches to what I have here? Currently I have 9 gold, 121 silver, 21 copper left from the camp.
Unfortunately, I was not keeping track of exactly how much you had left, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. All right. So, as they are bathing, the second package finally arrives. As the boy once more rushes into the inn. This time it's fairly dark. It's maybe a good 3 hours after dark. But you all notice that you haven't had the shift that you felt the other night. You're muted again, Azzy.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, all right. I will take the bundle. I guess it looks like fitted for a female.
It does. As
She
this
will
is
go
the
up to
other
the room.
closet.
She will go up to the room and try it on, but she will then remove it again and pack it down, as she doesn't want to walk around with armor in town.
Okay. Let me see here. So, eventually, unless Cecilia would like to do anything before they get back.
I don't think so. I think they mostly rest. She has been up very long.
Okay. In that case, you spend most of your time, having small snacks brought to you at the table. Eventually, the older lady who seems to own the inn comes over and pours you fresh tea every few hours, and it's quite good. Until eventually the two of them return from their baths, prim, proper, nice smelling. Juniper berries.
Lovely. Juniper. How's it going, Cecilia? How was your time off?
Well, I have a lot to think about. It's happened so many things, so I don't know how I feel or how I am. What was the question?
Maybe we should all rest
Yeah.
for the night and see how we feel the next day.
Yeah, we should do that. Well, we got the second armor as well now, so we only wait for the hauberk.
Okay.
Yeah, let's retreat for the evening.
Okay.
We're probably not feeling very hungry right now.
No, it's odd. You've gone. Sure, you ate while you were in camp, and you even drank while you were in the camp. But since then, you haven't had the urge to eat anything. And anything that you do consume, it has a pleasant taste, but aside from that, it does not fill you, and it does not satiate anything.
I'm gonna skip supper for tonight, I think, because then I don't feel hungry.
I believe that's because we no longer need proper food.
Well,
Glance
maybe
around
not.
a bit. Keep in mind that your language is rather known in these parts, as apparently is mine, so we might want to watch our words when amongst.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Alright, yeah, I'm just gonna go and sleep. Try
Okay.
to get to sleep, and then we will go. I guess we will continue traveling as soon as we get the hauberk.
All right. The three of you rise from the table. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Still have the carpenter working on something as well, I believe.
Yes. Yes, you do. Let me see. Yeah, he was carving the shield for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Speaking of which, according to the adjustment that we made with the house rules, did you decide if you were going to be doing the short or the larger one?
Currently it says small one.
Okay.
What was the difference again? Because there was a bit of discussion.
The difference was that people who attack you while you have the standard shield get a +1 to their difficulty, and the parry difficulty, we took that from a 6 to a 5.
And the small shield has no passive protection, but it has a 4 in difficulty when you try to block.
Right.
Still probably going to go with the small one. It feels like I have more maneuverability with that.
Okay.
Don't know if that's correct, but it feels like fit him better. It feels like that.
Right. Okay. So you all rise and begin to turn to make your way up to the stairs. And as you do, you all are slightly caught off guard by the sound of a dog making its way into the inn. Do any of you turn to the sound of paws scratching against wood?
The moment I hear that, I'll look. Yes, absolutely.
So the three of you turn in unison as the camera pans out from you to include the door frame in it, and we can see a jet black dog. You're not sure what breed. It could be a German Shepherd, possibly, or maybe a mix of some sort. And you watch as its bloodshot red eyes scan over all the individuals in the inn. There's only about 8 others here now that it's dark, sort of carousing, having a good time, playing dice off in the corner, liar's dice in particular. But But as there's a hoop and holler from that corner where the Liar's Dice is being played, we see the three of you staring back at this dog that simply sits at the front of the door and looks at the three of you before it exhales briefly and walks out.
And there is no owner behind it.
Not that you see. Only the darkness of the now dark and slowly being lit alleyway. Or not alleyway, but road that leads to this inn and further up towards where the blacksmith is.
It knows where we are now.
But why did it look at us?
The hunter that I saw last night, he was followed purely by wolves. Am I correct? Or
It seemed like wolves. It was harder to tell because it was so dark. The only light that you really had from him was the light from the small lantern that was carried on his saddle. You couldn't really make out exactly what the dogs looked like. You did catch the color of one of their furs, and that was a very dark gray, which led you to believe wolves. However, there were several dogs with him. This could have been one of the others that wasn't exactly included in that light.
And it could be one of the man's creatures. We should watch ourselves.
Yeah, you saw how it looked at us. It was like it recognized us.
Could have just been a local stray, but it feels
This didn't look like a local stray.
Like with bloodshot red eyes, I don't believe it's a stray.
coincidental. This is not.
Go ahead and make
Watch
me...
yourselves.
Let me see here. I should have had a character sheet open so I could tell you exactly what roles I want. All three of you can go ahead and make me a perception, and I'm gonna say investigation roll. Difficulty was gonna be 6. See if you notice something.
Perception, investigation. What was the difficulty?
Difficulty 6.
6, okay.
Yeah. Wow. Very nice indeed. So only Cecilia and Serafino? There we go. Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Okay. Do any of you have specialties involved with investigation?
Let me see.
Okay. What about
No,
Serafino?
not with investigation, no.
In perception, I do, but
In perception you do. Okay. Fantastic then.
you've...
All right.
Yes, I do. Low light vision.
Something you noticed. This couldn't have been a local dog. The local dogs that you have seen, they're usually decently fed and still a bit on the skinnier side. Oftentimes with the guards, and oftentimes, no, correction, 90% of the time they've been brown in fur. Not to mention, each of them has shown the slightest hints of having mange. This one was completely black, had red eyes, and had a beautiful coat of fur that even gave off a slight sheen.
Can I remember any of this with my occult knowledge?
Let's see here. I would allow a intelligence occult. Difficulty is going to be 8.
Okay.
I was just thinking, as Serafino, have you ever heard any stories of like demon houses, and the eyes on that thing were almost otherworldly?
Let me think.
Once again, Serafino's mind races, and with that racing comes the thoughts that he had earlier. You could be being hunted by werewolves. You could be being hunted by something entirely different, something more terrifying than werewolves. You're not sure.
So I believe, like I said before, we are either being hunted or tracked by werewolves or something worse, but I cannot put my finger on it at the moment.
Should we run or should we wait till the morning?
I have no idea. During the morning we'll be weak, but we have our stuff that's being made.
Are the three of you still standing at the table downstairs?
Oh, I thought we were like in the stairway almost up, but maybe we are. Okay, yeah.
I suggest we continue upstairs and just keep our guard up. As long as we are surrounded by people, it might be difficult.
Your
I
volume
don't
cut out.
know.
Yeah. All right. Well, I agree. Let's just go up to our room for now, and I will look through the windows and see if there's someone outside.
Okay.
Okay.
It cut out for a moment, Dorian. I think it should be back.
Okay.
The three of you
about
make
that.
your way upstairs. Do you separate to your own rooms, or do you all go into one room?
I think Cecilia would like to separate.
Yeah, I will start to look. Is there any windows in the corridors?
There isn't. The
Right.
corridor is plain wood, very, very heavily warped from time. It looks like there may have at one point been a window up here at the end of the hall. However, now you can see that new wood has been placed over where the window once was. And there is just a beautifully decorated small rug hangs halfway down it.
Cecilia will move into her room actually.
Okay.
Charlotte, do you want to share a room, just in case one of us doesn't wake up for something? Two minds with perception.
Well, you do have only
There's
two
two beds
rooms.
in there.
Oh, we only have 2 rooms. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I had to carry the other bed in here.
Yeah, with the busboy.
So, you all head into your
Deal.
separate rooms. There are windows, so if you choose to look out, I'd like you to make me. This is going to be perception, and it's going to be awareness, not alertness. Awareness.
Difficulty?
Difficulty is going to be 6.
Goodness.
Ooh, 2 10s.
Okay. So,
Low light vision
Wow.
specialty, by the way.
yeah, it's a lot more than 3, 2,
So
2.
that's five. That's 5 successes, I
Yeah.
believe.
All right, I'm pretty sure it is. It's 5. Okay. All right. You guys are rolling it in 10s right now. Okay, good to know. Good to know.
That's
So-
going to end shortly, probably.
The three of you, once again, almost
Just
like
pray.
you're in unison, even though you're now separated by a room, head over to your respective windows and look out. There's not much that you can see from this particular perspective. Mostly it's taken up by the side of the building next to you. But there is a glimpse of the road that you can all see, just that takes up about 1/4 of each of your windows. It's just barely a sliver of the road. There's just enough moonlight and the light from a building across the street that allows you to see the people passing back and forth down the road. And it's not until you see as 2 guards with a lantern and spears walk up the road and past your inn that you suddenly see it. The dog once again, this time sitting in an alleyway between the buildings, staring up at your windows.
That dog is not normal. I want to know what that is. I truly want to know what that is and make it stop.
There's 2 possibilities. We either stay put and travel by the day. If this monster is... If this monster is like us, weaker during the day, it might have a harder time keeping track of us.
But what if it isn't?
I don't know.
What if we're
The other
weaker
option-
during the day and he has the same strength?
That's the other option, is confront it. Running or confronting it, I would prefer to have you in armor as well before we do that, as in it might be safer.
Yeah.
Your vision
it's
is
not
once
gonna
more
happen
drawn to
tonight.
the street. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Your vision is once more drawn to the street as you watch 6 individuals in white tabards with red crosses pass by the dog and head in your direction. And at first you're thinking, oh, it's just more guards or higher ranking guards of some sort. But almost like a moment caught in time, the 3 of you watch as an individual in chainmail with a long sword at his hip, well, on his belt really, steps into view in a black tabard with a white cross. His head mostly covered by the chainmail coif, except for as he looks at the dog, his head slowly turns to look in your direction as 2 red glowing eyes stare back at you.
I instantly jump away from the window and start putting on my armor. I don't care, it's not ladylike anymore in town to go into armor. She's gonna put it on.
I'm gonna go fetch any gun that I can find in range. I
Well-
believe I still have my dagger, my trusty old dagger.
Yeah.
But that
You
is
have your
By the way.
daggers.
Got a quick question. That
Yeah.
spear that I've found from the guard, would it be considered normal to carry that around wherever I go on my back, or?
Well, you can't exactly carry it on your back. It doesn't have a strap.
Use it as a walking stick.
But using it as a walking stick would be considered normal. You,
Okay, in that
from
case,
what
I'll have
people
that
have
with
seen
me
so
all the
far,
time.
yeah, from what people have seen so far, you are presenting yourself as the bodyguard figure. So it wouldn't be unusual for you to be carrying a spear around. In fact, it would kind of be expected of you. People would kind of look at you weird if you came into the city with such and you weren't walking around with it.
Yeah, my dagger can be concealed so no one will see it.
I suggest we make sure that our bags are ready to, well, move if we need to.
Yep.
And it looks like that man's coming in. That was the guy on the horse, I'm suspecting. His eyes were the same, at the very least.
If he walks into the inn, I might just go just a little bit down the stairs to try and hear what he's saying.
Not coming up right away, we don't know.
Yeah. Just try and figure out if he's saying anything and then coming right up to tell you what's going on.
You speak more languages than I do, so I suggest you're the one to listen.
Okay. So,
Well, he's going to the stairs. I'm quickly going to knock on Cecilia's door.
okay. So you knock on Cecilia's door. Cecilia, you have the armor on halfway as a knock comes at your door.
The heart skips a beat and then be like, who is it?
It's me, Cecilia. Do you need any help?
No, I'm just getting on my armor.
Might want to hurry it up. He might be coming inside.
I'm hurrying, believe me.
Okay.
I'll leave from the door.
Well, as Serafino goes to the stairs and looks down. Uh-oh, I just unplugged my volume. You can see Serafino as 6 individuals in these white tabards with red crosses are sat down on opposite sides of the room. 3 go to the left side, 3 go to the right, and they're immediately already carousing. You can see that the old woman who sort of took care of you, gave you your rooms earlier in the day, seems to very quickly, upon seeing them, get out flagons and begins to pour them either ale or beer, you're not exactly sure. And something that you haven't seen a lot of is meat in this establishment. She always brings vegetables with a little bit of meat. But this time, as she goes behind her counter, almost as if she already had it prepared, she begins walking back and forth very quickly with plates filled with meat, no vegetables. And she begins placing them down. You don't see the individual in the black tabard.
That's weird. Alright, I'm coming back up and speaking to Ajala. Ajala, I just saw, you know those 6 individuals with the white clothing and the red crosses?
Like Templars?
You wouldn't know they're Templars yet.
Wouldn't know that? Okay.
No.
Like they look like they belong in a cult or something.
Oddly, yes.
They,
So they were like sitting opposite, three on each side, and then the old woman, the one that's always bringing vegetables with traces of meat, just starts bringing out full plates of meat to these guys as if they were super important or something.
well, they could be potentially important. Really see how that applies. I do, but Jala doesn't. Quick question: would I know that this is like setting up an ambush potentially, or is it just? But they do sound familiar with the establishment.
From the way he's just explained it, they're very familiar with the establishment, and they could either be completely ready for you down there, or that could just be where they prefer to sit. However, it strikes you as odd that this is going on right as the individual who's been hunting you probably appeared.
Yeah, but the individual wasn't there. At least not yet. Maybe I should go back out and try to see if I spot him.
It's at this time, Cecilia, that you finish donning your armor and you make your way out of your room.
I first string my bow and put it on my back.
It doesn't take you very long. A quick knee and a little bit of effort, and it's strung, and you're ready to go.
Right, I will then peek out to the door and see if the others are there.
Okay. I'm assuming Ajala and Serafino are in the hall upstairs and not back in their room. So you crack open the door, and you can see the dimly lantern-lit hallway with a nice rug underneath the two of them as they stand in the hallway whispering lightly back and forth between each other.
Is this hallway big? I forgot to ask.
It's just big enough to fit the two of you if you were like facing each other. Not side to side, facing each other.
It's facing each other.
Otherwise, it's kind of an awkward squeeze. Like half of you could fit side by side.
If they're coming for us, this hallway is our best chance to try and funnel them, so we only fight one at a time.
I looked out and I guess I hear that, and I was like, shouldn't we run? Should we climb out through the windows instead?
They are sitting exactly opposite of each other. And I mean, only 6 of them came in, the ones with the white clothing and red crosses. And they sat exactly opposite each other, funneling the only pathway to the exit.
Yeah, that's
what I don't like, them being able to flank us from two sides if we come down the stairs. However, we're not sure if that is their intention, although I just don't want to risk it.
Yeah, I mean, they're all eating.
You hear the sound of paws scratching against wood.
I want to go peek again.
Okay. You go ahead and peek.
I'm gonna go check.
And you watch as the dog is at the foot of the stairs, making its way up.
Well,
we're sure that he's an enemy, Serafino.
I don't know.
Let's go into the rooms instead, and we take the windows. We can climb out, and I wouldn't know.
I feel like we should talk to this dog before we run away.
Talk to the dog?
As you all say that, you watch as its head peers over the top of the staircase, and it sits. And you can hear the sound of... I don't know how to pronounce these. Chainmail chauffeurs, or...
Shuffling?
No, not shuffling. It's the name of the leggings. The chainmail leggings, we'll just say. It has a special name, but I don't know how to pronounce it.
No.
Close!
Something the likes of that, sorry.
You can hear as they move across the wood as well, and slowly you can hear them beginning to make their way up the steps as the dog just stares at the three of you.
Like 6?
No, just
of them. Just one. I mean, it's just one Ajala.
By the way, the conversation that you're... So originally it was just a mix of Arabic and Farsi that you were hearing downstairs. Since these individuals have come in, you've predominantly heard French downstairs.
Okay. So they speak French.
Oh, baguette.
Stronger French.
Cecilia is very on edge, and she will just take a step back and have the other ones closer to the stairs
Very well. So
in
you don't
case she
retreat
needs
into
to
your
run
room.
into the room.
Yeah, I know a bit of French. These guys were clearly speaking French. I don't know. I feel we're three. He's only one. If he's coming upstairs, let's just see what he wants before we run away.
Get behind me and I'll stand in between.
You hear as his head slowly peeks over the staircase just behind the dog. Yes, I do suggest you hear what I have to say. Children, please. And he gestures toward the open door of Cecilia's room.
Cecilia
Let's
will
go in.
back inside her door. She will leave it open, she will not close it, but she will stand close to the window inside the room.
Quick question, do I understand a word of what he's saying? Or
You
not?
understand everything he just said.
It's probably not in Nubian that he said it, though.
He said it in French. The two of them would clearly recognize.
He does the same thing with language as you two do.
Yes, I do the same thing as language as the three of you all do.
Does it mean that you're one of us?
Let's discuss that not in a staircase.
What do you think?
Cecilia backs into her
If
room.
it makes you
leaving the
feel
door
better,
open.
I will leave my arms here.
I'll
Yes.
look over my shoulder at Serafino and back at the man, but like really quickly, like
Okay.
trying not to leave him out of sight too long.
He undoes his belt and places his longsword just gently on the side of the staircase.
All right,
pats
let's go in
dog
the
on
room.
the top of the head before moving past it.
You feel safer, Ajala?
I'll follow you.
All right, let's go. We should sit in front of Cecilia because she's scared.
Okay.
She doesn't look scared, she looks on edge.
Okay.
It's a bit different.
Does Cecilia sit on the bed, or is she standing? Is she over by the window? What's going on with
She's
Cecilia?
standing by the window.
Okay. As Ajala enters the
wants to
room,
make
where would
his
he
quick escape.
like to stand?
I'll probably stand somewhere to the side of the room. I don't know.
Okay.
Doesn't
So you
really
just-
matter.
just
You
does
just
it?
Between,
make
you
your
know,
way in and
the-
make space.
Yeah, just
I
between
will be in the
or the man and
position.
Cecilia.
Okay. So the three of you file in with Cecilia guarding that window with her life should she need to jump through it. As the individual makes his way slowly, his pace doesn't quicken even though he's up the stairs now, into the doorway.
Are his eyes still glowing red?
Yes. Makes his way past the door and closes it behind him. He doesn't lock it. Well, it is a pleasure to meet all of you. Tell me, how long have you been awake?
3 days. Sort of.
2, I believe.
2.
2 days?
No, it was 1 day at after being dug up, and then the second
One
day
night.
night in the camp, and then
Made our way here in these same
which
nights.
is third day. Yes, this is the third day we've been awake.
This is the end of the second day, actually.
And the
This
second
is
day.
the start of the third night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I imagine this is all quite the surprise. Please sit, if you will, or if you're more comfortable by the window or standing over there and over there, you can.
Who are
I'll go sit next to him, or closer to him.
Okay.
I'll keep standing where I am. I'm fulfilling my role of bodyguard right here now.
Yeah, I'm guarding the window. I don't say anything though. But
I
yeah, I ask
am-
who he is.
Very interested in this person, and I'm gonna sit next to him.
You may call me Brother Bartholomew the second, if it matters.
Well, I am Serafino.
Serafino.
Do you have a title?
I do, but I'd rather not prattle it off. We aren't exactly in court. You?
I'm Cecilia of Montfort.
I know the name well. And finally,
My name's Ajala.
it's a very strong name. Well, I imagine it's come as a shock that all of you have awoken inside of a box, buried under sand, yada yada yada, hunger for blood.
Chains? You forgot chains.
Chains, you were included with chains, interesting.
What do you know of what we've become and why we were in that box?
Far more than you can imagine. Why you were in the box in particular, though, no idea. You were chosen for some reason. But as to what those reasons are, you'll have to figure that out yourselves.
Do you know how long we've been in that box? As in,
No.
all of our memories are a bit foggy, but
Yes, it appears we don't have any recollection of our past lives.
That's normal. And he looks around very quickly, and there's a small stool for the small writing desk that is in the room, but it's next to Cecilia, so he motions with his hand. Do you mind if I sit?
She like stretches her a bit and takes another posture and said, "Yes, of course."
Thank you very much. He makes his way over, and he moves the chair more to the center of the room, and so that his back is up against the wall. And he goes ahead and sits down. You can hear the crinkling of his chainmail as it goes into a rest. So, do you have the marks? Have you seen them yet? Have you figured them out?
What marks?
So you aren't exactly fully investigative. All right. He stands. I believe your name was Ajala, yes? Do this. And just let your fingers stay there. As you do that, you can feel a scar, almost like a burn mark. And it feels like the rim of a cup and a small cross is burned into your lip.
I mean, and I'll put down my lip.
Mm-hmm.
Not going to be able to see it myself, but it will at least show to Cecilia, the man, and to Serafino that there's something there.
The two of you can see the faintest outline of what looks like the rim of a cup, and just a few inches below that, closer towards about here on his lip, there is an imprint of a small cross.
Oh, so you have like a rim of a cup and a small cross.
Let go of my lip and be like, so it is actually God that damned us.
No, not at all. Not at all. That's cute. No. God has not damned you. God has done nothing of the sort. It is man who has damned you in a very particular way. Tell me, what have you discovered about yourselves?
Cecilia will also feel if she can feel this. Does she feel the same thing, or does she feel different?
Exactly the same. It's slightly off from where you saw Ajala's. It's like yours was like slightly shifted to the left a little bit. It wasn't precise.
Alright.
What about mine?
Once again, slightly off. Yeah, almost as if it was branded into each of you at just slightly different angles.
Okay.
Basically, the shifting of a potential actual cup.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is this? She will take up the small black pebble that she has kept.
Oh, you kept the sap. Oh, that's cute. It's that. It's
What
sap.
is? It's sap.
Why? Why was it in my throat?
I'm not fully aware of the medical goings-on that happen with it, but I would say, last I remember from the prattling on that I did hear about it, something about calcification of the sap in your throat.
Did you also wake up in a box?
No. I woke up underwater. In particular, an ocean.
Drowning?
Well beyond drowned.
Oh my god.
Do,
That's a
do
bit
you
awful.
do you know someone named Isabella?
Do you have a last name?
She will try to remember the last name.
Fantastic. Go ahead, and this is going to be... I'm going to say... We're going to go with Wits, and we're going to go with Enigma. Difficulty 6.
Oof. That's not my strong suit, I can tell you that.
You try and think back to her name. Once again, your mind is flooded with the images of the two of you standing at a docks somewhere. You're both heavily wrapped up in winter clothing. It seems like you're having a pleasant conversation, and all you can remember is her hand holding the cross, and you can see the name Isabella on a small piece of paper. And there is a letter that continues after that, but it's hidden by her finger. You don't know her last name.
I can't remember her last name, but she was Venetian. Beautiful.
I'm afraid I've met a few Isabellas in my time. I would not be able to confirm or deny that I've met yours.
How many like us are there?
Like us. By now, a few hundred. Like what we represent, a few 100,000.
I have other questions. What is that dog outside that we've seen with the bloodshot eyes?
Kana.
Kana? Is that a person? Or is that an animal?
By all accounts, one would call it a dog. However, looks can be deceiving. He opens the door. I misspoke. It's not Kana, it's Canis. And as he opens the door, you watch as the dog is there in the doorway, sitting down on all fours, just watching. Canis, please, come in. You watch as the dog walks in and goes around Serafino in a circle for a moment before sitting next to the chair that he resumes his seat in before he pushes the door closed. Najala, Serafino, Lady Cecilia, Canis. Canis, Najala, Lady Montfort, Serafino.
Does he understand?
Canis
Even to tell them the
nods
name?
its head.
Oh, that is quite impressive. Were you the man that Ajala saw riding a horse with a lantern on its side last night?
There were men riding horses with lanterns on their saddles last night, yes. Was I one of them? Possibly.
Did you have
depends-
lots of dogs around you?
Yes, that would be me. Cleaning up your little appearance.
Terribly sorry about that. We didn't know what we were doing, and we were hungry.
I did run across that camp, yes.
Jala will make a bit of a glance at Serafino when he says he's terribly sorry because he doesn't believe a word of that. Then he'll continue. When you say what we represent and what we are, what do you mean by that?
What you are, and why there are only a few hundred of us. You are children of the cup. Ta-da! Title, credits, all that fun stuff. What you represent are Canaanites. Vampires.
When you say vampires, the ice goes to surfing a little and then back.
So I was right. All along.
Although I will admit, because you are children of the cup, you are slightly different than the usual Canaanite. You should never reveal what you are if you should ever meet a true Canaanite, unless it is Canis. Because she doesn't do much talking, does she? Canis gives a nod.
Oh, so Canis was a Canaanite. Do you turn Canaanites into dogs?
I was wondering the same thing, actually. But yeah.
No, I don't. I do not take Canaanites and turn them into dogs. Nor does Canis take Canaanites and turn them into dogs. No, she is a... this is going to get a little bit complicated. What is known as a gangrel. She has the ability to shift.
Oh, okay.
This is the form she prefers.
Canaanite shifters.
Now, don't get it confused. Not all of you can shift. None of you will turn into bats or bears or dogs or things like that, unless you put a lot of time and have special training from a special someone, but that is a long time from now.
What happens now?
Well, you have a few choices. You can stumble around in the darkness and find your way to somewhere where you feel safe and stake out your lives there for as long as that will last. Eventually you'll be found because you're sloppy, as I found you, and eventually you will be killed. Or you can come with me. We can head to Jerusalem. I can teach you how to behave as Canaanites properly. Teach you how not to be sloppy with your food, as you did in the camp. And perhaps you will live a lot longer, until eventually you either wither away, or someone kills you. Just with a very much longer grace period in between. Your last option, should you choose, is to kill each other now.
What would that accomplish, though?
It would save you some trouble. Not much, but some.
If we choose to go by ourselves, will you try to kill us?
No, that is not my job.
But it's someone else's job.
Not necessarily. You see, much like the... How do I put this without confusing you more? Much like the world of the normal person. There are territories, boundaries, places you can and cannot go without permission. Should the three of you head out into the wilderness, independent, alone, not knowing what the fuck you're doing, inevitably, you'll stumble somewhere. When you get there, you won't know whose toes you're stepping on. You'll kill, instead of feeding and leaving. That person will be pissed. You'll have broken one of the tenets of Canaanites. And undoubtedly, a sheriff or a scourge will find you and kill you. Or worse, you'll break the masquerade, which is not known as the masquerade at this time, I know. I just forgot the term for it right now in this time period.
Silence of the blood.
Easier.
Silence of the blood, thank you. You'll break the silence of the blood. And a mortal will kill you. Although, it'd have to be a very skilled mortal.
And if we follow you, what will you want in return?
I would not want anything in return per se. You see, it's my job as a seeker to find children like you who wake up, don't know what's going on, and train you for a time. Just long enough so you get your feet under you, and you can operate successfully without immediately drawing suspicion to yourself. At which time, I will... we'll call it a blood boon. Not a blood boon. A boon. If you don't know what that is, it's a small favor you have to do for me. Nothing major. I'm not asking for a life boon, which I will explain exactly what all of this means in due time. Something very small that I can call upon at any time. I won't ask you to kill anyone or anything like that.
Who made you a seeker?
There is a collection of us in Saxony at this time. In a way, we have formed a bit of a council, and in that council they have appointed a few individuals. One of those individuals is me. I am what is known as a seeker.
We ran across several people on our way here. I was wondering if you knew any of them. So apparently the map that had the site where we were buried was given by one called Athelstein, a crusader of the Knights Hospitaller, on the road to Damascus about 6 years ago.
I know the name, as I am of the same order, but beyond that I do not know exactly who Athelstein is.
Okay, so he can be trusted, more or less.
No.
Okay.
Athelstein is not a child of the cup. You can never trust anyone outside of a child of a cup, and even then, trust us rarely.
What is this cup you speak of?
With time, I'll explain that.
The noble who found us was called Hashish. Do you know him?
There are a few Hajijis I know that are noblemen. From where?
Where was it? Where were
Baghdad?
we?
Azerbaijani. Damascus.
Well,
The person who dug us up, so from that village.
Yes.
He was not from that village.
No, he stayed.
I'm
at
pretty
that
sure
village
Cecilia
at
has
that
the
time.
name. And I think it's also in Serafino's notes.
Yes. Yes. Let me just.
Gal has
double check.
already forgotten.
It is Ajish Ben Avrim of Baalbek.
Of Baalbek. Yes, I recognize the name. Prominent, influential, heavily into the slave trade, but a decent man.
Okay.
I'm surprised he didn't brand you and throw you all to one of his mini operations.
Surprised me as well, specifically since he seems... Well, he mentioned that he had no use for slaves at this time.
Tell me something, was he very giving?
Yes, he was.
Considering the situation, yes, indeed.
He gave us everything we needed and more.
Then I would
Be on our
suggest
way.
to you that you were not found by this Hajij on accident.
Interesting. Was he
You
paid
wanna-
to find us?
Maybe.
Okay.
What would he have to gain from digging us up? We don't
I'm
even
not
know.
entirely sure. I am not fully influential in the politics of the Canaanites of the Absid.
What about these trinkets we have on us? Like, for example, I had a piece of destroyed parchment, Roman
Anything you
denarii
found on you within your
box.
box, aptly put, I would have called it a coffin, would be mementos, things to help you eventually recover your memory.
Okay.
It's part of the process. Everyone is buried or drowned with items from their past.
Why?
Now that
I
you
can-
say it, sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
When I took a bath, you said I smelled of junipers. I smelled like junipers, and I have a memory of junipers. Could that
do.
have triggered anything?
Because smell is a very strong trigger.
It is a very strong trigger. Not at this time. However, don't worry, I do have something for you planned.
Okay.
I can understand one of the items I was buried with, but I also have these 2 bags of dirt in them. There's nothing in them. It's
Bags
just
of dirt. That means you are Clan Zamisi.
Clan
Complicated.
Zamisi?
I'll explain it in the future. You're gonna need those. Keep them on you.
Oh, okay.
Were any
Yeah,
of the rest of you included with any strange items like bags of dirt?
I
It's
just
rare
said
to find a
just-
litter of the same kind, but it has happened.
I just said I started pulling out the stuff. Like I just had this destroyed parchment, a Roman denarii, a small wooden toy soldier, and a pick.
Well, nothing too strange there. Memories. You?
I'll reluctantly take out the 1 coin that I have. I think this is all that I had on me.
Memory. So. All
What
of the
about
different
the blue
persuasions.
ribbon?
One of you did
Yes.
have a blue ribbon, yeah. Who was it?
Ajala had a
Ajala.
blue
Oh,
ribbon.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
I had that ribbon as well, sorry. Oh, and this, and I'll pull out the ribbon as well.
Also an object of memory. There's no specific thing that involves ribbons.
So how do we find out our clan?
That's going to be an interesting process. But we can already confirm that you, my Lady Montfort, are definitely Zamisi. You always carry dirt with you. No
You
offense.
seem-
Why?
You seem a bit upset.
I
No,
just don't understand.
it's just there was this book. It cliched the whole thing. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I love books.
As do I.
Does the Montfort still have a keep down here?
Very much so.
Have you ever heard of the family Karayan? From Iberia.
From Iberia. Vaguely remember. I remember that name. Very vaguely.
Okay.
Perhaps in the Navarra region?
Yes, possibly. We were by the sea.
Do you remember mountains?
Yes. And the smell of the sea.
Very vaguely. I can't say that I've had personal dealings, but I've heard the name somewhere.
What worries me more, however, is these Canaanites and your
Never suggest them
hate
as
us.
these Canaanites or those Canaanites. You are a Canaanite from all eyes and ears perspective. Unless, of course, you're talking to a mortal. Then you are just another human.
How do we recognize them from normal people? As in, you have your eyes.
Oh, well. Sorry about that. And you watch as his eyes dim, and they go into a pale light green. Apologies.
Yeah, that was what scared us in the first place. It was those bloodshot eyes on you
Sometimes
and
I
about
forget that I have them on. Old habits.
Canis. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So we pretend to be.
You don't pretend
Canaanites
to be.
and
You
we-
are a Canaanite,
Oh.
as far as anyone is concerned. It is only when in the, shall I say, company of a child of the cup that you will refer to yourself as one. And even then, be careful to make sure that there are no Canaanites purely in the room.
What is? Where lies the difference, and why do they? Where lies the fight? Where lies the conflict?
To put it this way, Canaanites, I should first ask, are any of you Catholic, or I should say Christian? Catholic?
I am Catholic.
Catholic?
Brought up Christian,
Christian?
so these
Ever
events both
since,
made me doubt.
ever since I woke up, I don't believe I have any religion, but I believe I was a Christian.
Possible former Christian. Do any of you remember perhaps reading the Bible? Or having the Bible read to you, depending on if you spoke Latin?
I remember the priests telling about it, but don't really read.
I think I read from it.
The only thing I remember is like a cellar, writing standing desk, the fresh smell of ink, several people writing, and the sound of someone in prayer
Perhaps
while
a
I was
scribe.
writing something. Yes.
Interesting. So, then I would ask, are all of you familiar with the story of Cain and Abel?
I
Yes.
presume that I am.
Question is how often is that story told? Do you think in this time period?
In this time period, it's
Probably
mentioned.
very often.
Once
My
every
case
2
is
months.
probably-
It's not once
Very
every 2 months. It's like, in particular, from where you're from, it's probably mentioned more often than where Cecilia and Serafino are from. Where Cecilia and Serafino are from, it's probably mentioned around
Once
the
a year.
same time of year, around autumn. Once a year, yeah. And it's like heavily emphasized at that time. Whereas where you're from, it's more heavily used because people will sometimes use it as a scolding. Don't be like Cain and Abel. And they'll try and
In that
recite in
case-
their own words, despite never having read it themselves, outside of the priest. They'll try and recite in their
Yeah.
best way what the story was to their children as a warning.
Their variant of okay, so yeah, I'm quite familiar with that in that case, and I'll say yes, I'm familiar.
Well,
Does Cecilia remember?
I would say, yeah. If you guys were Christian, then yeah, you vaguely remember the Holy Bible.
Alright. Then she has not.
Well, let's put it this way: Cain is real, Abel's dead.
Whoa.
From Cain came a curse, as you all presumably know. Yada yada yada. Curse was actually vampires.
I knew it. I had a suspicion.
So,
Don't.
Gala finally makes the link with the word Cainite. Oh.
thus they are known as
That's
Cainites. They are directly from Cain himself.
So Cain created us?
No, that is the difference. That is the conflict, as one of you would say. Although you represent the many children of Cain in your own way, shape, or form, you are not of Cain. You never were, you never will be. You are of the cup.
And what does that mean exactly?
As you all know, there is or as I would assume you would all know, depending on if you read, there's a fairy tale that was mixed up in common Christian lore. It's
Holy Grail.
very good. Very good. A popularized story that swept Europe. The Knights of the Holy Grail, going about seeking it forever. To everyone's mind, it was just that. But slowly I've noticed it's slowly gaining traction as more of an actual thing, which is interesting, because it is an actual thing. The Holy Grail does exist. Those who are fed blood from the Holy Grail are known as Children of the Cup.
So drinking from that cup made us what we are. Has that anything to do with the fact that we feel weaker during the day?
It is the reason you are able to stand the day.
Stand the day.
Well, let's put it this way. If Canis were to go outside right now and wait until the sun rose, you would find a very beautiful dog-shaped pile of ash on the road, lightly swept by the wind over time.
Interesting.
Whereas if any of you, or if I were to go out and stand and wait for the sun, we would feel weaker. We would feel our bodies sort of normalize. We'd lightly have the ability to eat, but not fully. We'd function.
Very interesting.
So the conflict stems from not only not the same forebearer, but potentially also an envy for
Being able to
they cannot
feel
see
the sun.
day.
No, they cannot. Once
Was
they are
that-
turned into a Canite, they will never see the light of day again until their final death.
If this power comes from the Holy Grail, then it must be mandated by God. Is this...
Mandated by God. I love that. Well,
Does that mean that...
things work a little differently. You see, while the Holy Grail may be a holy artifact, things like that, nothing has been mandated by God in this way. You were chosen by a man. An old man in his 60s who runs around and makes children. A man that all of us are hunting for. A man that eludes us every day. That man chose you for some reason. He was either approached by your family, or he simply saw you and had interest. Dang it, dog. My sound. Oh no. Give me 1 second because my sound cut out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Sorry about that brief break. Dogs and headphones and fun stuff. Anyways, where was I?
Gorge ripping.
You were explaining Ajala, if God had anything to do with the Holy Grail.
As I said, you were chosen by an old man. God had nothing to do with this.
Did I choose freely to drink from it, knowing what it would do, or was I
don't know.
forced?
Both can be true.
Did you do it freely?
No. Although I do know those who have.
Okay.
The big
Well,
question is, should we go with him or should we go by ourselves?
I will let you all deliberate that. I'll give you time. If you
Because
need
we
me,
need at least to get our stuff from the blacksmiths, etc.
if you need me, I will be back in a day's time. Roughly around the same time of night, I will return. In the meantime, think about your choices. Argue amongst yourselves, have polite conversation, however your method of doing it is. If you choose to run and be independent, I simply ask that you leave a note in this room. Just with the letter I, if any of you can write, preferably. Preferably the letter
I instantly look at the other two.
We can... Yes, I can leave a note in that case.
Thank you. In the meantime, he gives a sitting bow before standing up and looking down at Canis. Let's go. And he opens the door and lets himself out before closing the door behind him. And you hear as his chainmail moves down the hall, and eventually you can hear him going down the steps.
Cecilia takes off her bow and lean it toward the wall, and then she sits down on the floor with her back against the wall.
I'm curious to see if those other 6 guys are still downstairs. Can I go peek in the stairs? I want to go peek in the
Absolutely,
stairs.
yeah. You go ahead and you peek downstairs. They're still downstairs, but things have changed slightly. No longer are they sitting 3 to the left, 3 to the right. Now they're sitting all at a central circle table. They're sitting down and they are playing a very intense-looking game of cards that you don't recognize.
Okay, I come back to the room and explain that those guys are there, but their
Probably just
positions have
regulars.
changed. Yeah.
Cecilia will have taken up her rosary and sits and holding it, thinking.
I'm thinking if we want to have answers, we were going to Jerusalem to start with.
We were going there anyways, weren't we?
This man seems to know a whole lot more than, well, no offense, Serafina, but than you do. He might be able to teach all of us.
Indeed.
In whatever we've become, and as he said, we'll need to learn what we are, how to exist, if we want to survive. And
since we were headed to Jerusalem anyways, might as well go with him and see how it goes at first. What do you guys think?
I don't know what the entire plan is of either this man or whatever situation created us to be this, but
And if we can trust him.
he seems our best shot, even if we cannot trust him. As you said, there's still 3 of us, and well, apparently he's not learned, but that dog is not a dog.
Maybe all those dogs that he had with him were not dogs.
Yet on the other hand, he said we could not trust others of those of Cain. As in, why trust a dog if that is one of Cain's children? And this is going to take some time for me to get used to. I'm going to try and get some sleep. It's been a long 2 days.
Right.
Charla will probably leave the room and go try and sleep, which is probably mildly impossible because his head is racing with all kinds of what the fuck is going on, but yeah. He'll try
Okay.
to.
So Ajala retires for the evening.
What do you think, Cecilia?
Well, she's been very quiet, but she speaks up and looks up also towards you. Being like, I only see two options for me. It's either follow him or take my own life so I don't have to live off blood of others.
So I'm guessing the best option will be to follow him.
Yeah, I don't see any point trying to run alone anyway.
Okay. Get some rest. I'm gonna go do the same. And I shall retire to my bedroom.
Okay.
Good night, she
Or
says.
good night, Cecilia.
So, as you all separate, would any of you like to do anything just before you go to bed? Or is it straight to sleep? At least your best attempts at doing so.
I want to try and see if my smell of junipers triggers something. Because
It's
I'm having
not going to trigger something right now, but I got you.
Okay. Then sleep it is, I guess.
Fantastic.
Well, yeah, Cecilia will sit and contemplate with her blade in her lap and think about things, but she will then go to bed.
Okay. And is Ajala already snoring by the time that Serafino enters the room?
Probably not, but he'll be trying and trying to sleep.
Seeing as Ajala is struggling to attempt to sleep, how about we have you make me a... Maybe, do you have conviction or conscious? I think you have conviction.
I believe I have conviction. Conviction.
Could you make me a
1
straight
point of
conviction
conviction.
roll?
Guys, conviction. Difficulty 6, I'm guessing that is.
Difficulty 6,
on
yeah.
top of that. 1 success, that is a surprise.
Alright, so...
Lucky.
While the thoughts of the last 2 days' events rattle about in your head, in a way they manage to actually lull you to sleep, as conspiracy theories and tales of creatures of darkness, and for some reason the thought of an old woman shaking her bony finger at your face, telling you about something horrible that's going to get you as a child, slips into your mind before eventually you find your way to the paradise of sleep. All right. And that is where we're actually going to take our official break.
Dun dun dun.
And we will be back with more Children of the Cup. See you soon.
See ya.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Children of the Cup. All right. So,
I'm gonna move this one away from the mouse because he's starting to move it around.
all right. You all eventually make your way to sleep, unless Cecilia would like to spend the entire night contemplating.
No, she will fall asleep.
Okay. As you fall asleep at your own individual times, Serafino, you have a dream. Or is it a memory? You're not sure yet. But remember how I mentioned junipers?
Yes. The smell of junipers.
It comes back. You are surrounded in a field. You can smell junipers. And there are 3 people who stand beside you in this field. It's the middle of the night. The moon sits high in the sky. It's a full moon. And you watch as slowly off in the distance, a man approaches all of you. You can't make out his details, but you slowly begin to see the fact that he's wearing a brown habit, and there is a book in his hands. It's a large tome. At first your thoughts wander to if it is the Holy Bible, but as he comes more and more into focus, almost to the point where you can make out his face, you notice that it is not the Bible. Instead, the words that you glimpse upon the worn, cracked leather surface are Necronomicon, Volume 1.
That's even worse than what I was thinking.
That is the extent of the dream.
What's his name again?
Ajala.
The name,
Oh, go ahead.
It's
the name again. It was the name of the man that wrote the Necronomicon.
Oh, you want his name?
that I was trying to remember because I
It was well, the first one no one knows, but the other one that was made more like a fictional grimoire was H.P. Lovecraft.
Abdul al-Hazred.
Yes, Al-Hazred.
And I instantly saw that figure in front of my eyes, like yeah, sorry.
It's the life story of Al-Hazred.
So, Ajala, for you, as you dream, you find yourself in hills. You can hear the sound of the ocean far off. Well, the sea, actually. Mediterranean Sea. Far off. You can hear the faint sound of seagulls. And the grass is a dingy brown underneath your feet. Little small patches of green here and there.
Daylight?
It is day.
Do I guess this to be Egypt? Curiosity, but
You're not entirely sure. But what you are sure of is that as you stand here alone in this field, you feel something on you, and you look down and you can see yourself in armor. Older armor than what you currently have in the inn. It's a textile armor. The colors are white and blue. In your left hand, a small shield. In your right, a spear. And as your eyes glare over the ashwood spear, You suddenly see yourself surrounded on either side as you look left and right. Men of different slight variations of skin tone close to yours that stretch as far as the eye can see. There's a smell of smoke that inflames your nostrils. It smells like it's coming from behind you. You can hear the sound of horses, several, almost in a stampede-like fashion, moving to your right. But your head, as much as you want to turn it to see, does not turn. Slowly, over the hills in front of you, you watch as figures, thousands of them, begin to silhouette the horizon. And a flag comes into view. But you can't make out what standard is upon the flag. There's the sound of a horn from behind you and to the left, and then the dream ends. Cecilia. You're standing on the docks. It's cold, bitterly so. You desperately want the warmth of a fire. You're wrapped heavily in your winter clothes. The light fox-skin fur of the collar warm against your cheeks. And a beautiful woman stands next to you. Isabella. 3 ships are docked at the harbor. And there's a man, old, grayed-haired, heavily receding in sort of that half-crown haircut, where it's like all bald at the top and then bald at the front, but it's just the half-crown of gray hair at the back. His clothes are well kept, but plain. And 2 individuals stand by his side. A young man, very handsome, in a black habit to his right, and a younger man also in a black habit, but shorter and looks a little bit more squirrely to his left. The squirrelier of them carries a small chest. A woman's hand clasps onto your shoulders, and you recognize it as Mother. Although a name does not breach into clarity. That is your dream.
Wonderful dreams.
And the next day you awake.
Good morning. Darom. Did you manage to rest?
I feel rested whatsoever.
You do, actually. You feel very rested. All of you do.
Actually, yes, quite. Quickly glance outside, see if it's still morning or if the sun is high up or...
It's morning going into afternoon soon.
Like we might have slept a bit long.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should go pick our stuff up.
Be a bad idea. How did you sleep?
Very well. I feel well rested. Although I feel like I slept for too long. I don't know. I'm rested though. That's what matters. Should we check on Cecilia?
Sounds like an idea. Have a look.
Right.
So as the 2 of you get dressed and make your way to Cecilia's door. Cecilia, are you doing anything as you arise for the morning?
She would get dressed as she goes up, and is there a mirror or anything in there? Maybe like a plate?
There's
We
a
can see
small
reflection.
hand mirror that is on the writing table.
Yeah, she looks in it on herself in the reflection. Alright, I know what I must do. And she will put it down, and then... Yeah, probably heading for the door as they knock on it.
Okay. We knock on the door.
She will move over to the door, unlock it, and open it.
Good morning, Cecilia. Did you rest
Yeah.
well?
I don't know. I think so. Heavy sleep. Slept heavily, and I had a dream, but otherwise it was fine.
Yeah, me too. I slept very heavily and had a dream.
Have you two decided what you want to do? Do you want to follow this man?
I think we should. At least until we get some answers.
Yes. I
Yeah.
also will follow him. I need to find Isabella, and the man to know if I was forced to this or not.
I also think we should go pick up our stuff before anything else, since we already paid for it.
Yes, of course you should. I can follow you on the street.
Well, he's not meeting us until... Was it tonight or tomorrow night?
Tonight, he said
Tonight.
1 day.
But we have the rest of the day left for us.
Yes.
Let's explore.
Yes, we use it.
All right.
Okay, we make our way where we had stuff pending. So it was Ajala's shield and bows.
Well, you don't have to go far. It was the Jala Shield and the hauberk.
Yeah,
And
the
the
bows we got right away.
You don't have to go far. As you make your way down the stairs, one by one, you can see that the old woman sits once more at her small table. And there are two wrapped packages next to her. She gives a wide, toothy smile as the three of you make your way down. Ah, it is good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have something for you. The blacksmith and the carpenter both brought packages.
Oh, nice. We were expecting those.
She goes ahead and hands them to you. Whoever accepts them.
No, I can take one.
Should I get you tea? Perhaps something to eat?
Yeah, something to eat would be good.
Tea
And
for
some tea.
fine.
She goes ahead and she heads off and begins cooking.
Now let's open up these and see what's inside.
Okay.
She will sit down at one of
yes.
the table.
Inside of one package, you find a finely crafted small shield. And inside the other, you find a very comfortable fitting hauberk.
Nice. I believe this is yours, Ajala. And I give the shield to you.
Thank you. Yes. This will be nicely.
And I believe this is for me. And I'm gonna retire to our room to see how it fits.
It fits incredibly well. Of course, you have to do the usual shimmy shake of putting it on. And of course, it gets caught in what hair you do have initially as you're trying to slip your head through the gap. But, you know, a few
Have a nice.
pulls here, a few pulls there, and you're able to get it on, and it's nice and comfortable. Doesn't have a ton of weight to it.
Impressive, this man's work. I shall take it off and go back downstairs.
As you head downstairs, you watch as the older woman brings out a tray and sets it down, and sets 3 small glasses in front of each of you, and pours out a dark brown tea. And on the tray, she puts down a small plate of still warm, freshly baked, I'm going to mispronounce this, grebe. It is a shortbread cookie. It's kind of like butter cookies.